She pretended to love me. I don't even know why I'm writing this. Maybe it's because I'm tired of carrying this story alone. Maybe because some twisted part of me still wants to be understood, to prove to someone out there that I wasn't crazy, that what she did wasn't okay, that I didn't deserve it. Or maybe I just need to say it out loud, even if no one's listening. Because when someone pretends to love you, really pretends, so deeply, so convincingly, you start questioning the very fabric of your reality once the mask falls off. And her mask? God, it was perfect. Her name was Natalie, and she was the most dangerous kind of beautiful, the kind that made you doubt your instincts, the kind that made you feel lucky even as she slowly unraveled everything good inside you. We met at a bookstore. Cliché, right? I was browsing the philosophy section, pretending to understand Camus. She bumped into me while reaching for the same dog-eared copy of The Stranger. Our hands touched, and she laughed, low, effortless, disarming. I was going to read that next, she said, eyes sharp with amusement. I smiled, offered it to her. She took it and smiled back like I'd passed some invisible test. That moment, the spark, the softness of it, felt like the beginning of something real. And maybe that's why it hurts so much now, because I still remember what it felt like to believe her, to believe in us. We started talking, then texting, then spending every waking minute orbiting each other like we were the only two people in the universe. And she was intoxicating, smart, witty, flirtatious in that way that made you feel chosen. Like she could have had anyone, but she picked you. I remember our first date. She wore this long beige coat over a red sweater that clung to her like it had memorized her shape. She ordered red wine and spaghetti and looked me in the eyes when she talked, like she meant every word, like I mattered. And maybe, for a moment, I did. Maybe she really did like me. At first. Maybe that's what makes it worse. Because after you taste something that feels like love, the withdrawal is hell. The beginning was perfect, sickeningly so. Late-night calls that stretched into dawn. Handwritten notes slipped into my jacket pockets. Inside jokes. Stolen kisses in between classes. That time she made me cancel plans just so she could fall asleep to the sound of my voice. She had this way of making chaos look poetic. She told me she'd been hurt before, that she didn't trust people easily, that she pushed people away when they got too close. But that with me, it felt different. She said I made her feel safe, that I was her anchor. God, I clung to that, because I'd spent so long feeling like I was too much or not enough, and with her, it finally felt like I was exactly what someone wanted. Exactly what she wanted. She met my friends, won them over. My best friend, Marcus, once pulled me aside and said, "You seem lighter with her, man. Like happier." And I was, at least for a while. But there were signs. Little ones, at first. She hated when I asked questions. If she didn't reply for hours and I checked in, she'd say I was controlling. If I made a joke she didn't like, she'd go cold and quiet, make me feel like I'd just kicked a puppy. And every time I brought up how I felt, about anything, she'd twist it, make me feel guilty for having emotions at all. Still I stayed, because when it was good, it was like nothing else mattered. She'd hold my face in her hands and whisper things like, "I've never let anyone in like this before." Or, "You don't know how much I need you." And I believed her, even when her stories didn't add up. Even when she started canceling plans at the last minute. "Sorry, my sister had a meltdown. Had to help a friend move. Didn't sleep all night. Can we reschedule?" Even when she forgot important dates. My birthday. Our 1-year anniversary. When I got the internship I'd been working my ass off for, she barely said congratulations. Just asked if it meant I'd have less time for her. Still, I made excuses. Because I loved her. Because I wanted it to be real. Then came him. She called him an old friend from back home. Said they'd grown up together. That he was like a brother to her. The first time I met him, I knew something was off. The way he looked at her. Too long. Too familiar. The way she lit up when he walked in. Like I disappeared the second he entered the room. I asked her about it once. Gently. Carefully. She laughed. "You're jealous of Ethan? That's actually kind of cute." She kissed me then. Told me I was her future. But her phone started lighting up more often. And when I glanced over once and saw his name at midnight, a pit opened in my stomach that never fully closed again. It all unraveled slowly, like a thread pulled loose. And I kept watching it happen. Watching her pull away. Watching myself get smaller. And when the truth finally came out, when I saw the photos of them together at a concert she said she was too sick to attend, her arms wrapped around his neck, her lips on his cheek. It wasn't even anger that hit first. It was shame. Shame that I hadn't trusted my gut. Shame that I let her do this to me. Shame that I still loved her, even as she looked me in the eyes and said, "It wasn't serious. It didn't mean anything. You're overreacting." Even as she gaslit me into thinking I was the problem, that if I had just been more confident, less clingy, more secure, maybe she wouldn't have strayed. Maybe she wouldn't have needed him. But I know now, she was never mine to lose. Because I was never hers to keep. She just pretended. And the scariest part? She was so damn good at it, I started pretending too. Pretending I was okay. Pretending I wasn't breaking. Pretending I still mattered to someone who had already replaced me. I wish I could say I walked away with my head held high. I wish I could tell you I cut her off cleanly, blocked her number, deleted her pictures, and never looked back. But the truth is, I begged her to stay. Yeah, after all of it, after the lies, the manipulation, the kiss she gave another man while telling me she loved me, I still clung to the idea of us like a drowning man clutching debris. I asked her to explain, to be honest, to fix it, and she cried. That's the part that broke me the most, the tears, because they looked real. Her lips trembled. Her eyes went red. She said she was confused, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that she still loved me, but she was figuring herself out. Figuring herself out. What a luxury it must be to destroy someone and call it self-discovery. I remember sitting on the floor of her apartment, holding her hand, while she told me she was torn, and I held my breath, waiting for her to choose me. She didn't. Not really. She said she needed space. Space. After 2 years of pouring my soul into her, she wanted space to explore what this thing with Ethan might mean. And like a fool, I gave it to her. I told her I understood. I even thanked her for her honesty. I drove home in silence that night, the taste of her still on my mouth, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. I stared at traffic lights and thought about swerving off the road more than once. But I didn't. I just went home. And broke. The days that followed were some of the darkest I've ever known. You'd think pain like that would burn itself out quickly, that heartbreak would be loud and violent, and then pass. But no one tells you how quiet it is, how empty, how it creeps in when the world is still, how it whispers to you at 3 a.m. that you weren't enough, that if you had just been better, she would have stayed. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping. I'd sit in the shower until the water ran cold, trying to rinse her out of my skin. I couldn't even listen to music. Every song felt like it belonged to her. Worse than the loss was the humiliation, because I couldn't tell anyone the truth. I'd spent so long talking about how amazing she was, how lucky I felt, how deeply I trusted her. And now what was I supposed to say? That she picked someone else? That she looked me in the face and said, "You'll always have a piece of my heart," while holding his hand behind her back? No. I just disappeared, ghosted my friends, turned off my phone, lay in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, trying to figure out when exactly she stopped loving me, or if she ever did at all. One night, maybe 2 weeks after she asked for space, I finally caved. I texted her. 3 words. "Do you miss me?" She didn't respond. The next morning, I saw her post on Instagram. A picture of her and Ethan at a lake, her head on his shoulder. The caption read, "Peace, finally. Peace." As if I was the chaos. As if loving me was the storm she had to escape from. I threw my phone across the room that morning. It shattered against the wall. It felt symbolic. Like something inside me finally snapped. I realized then, she wasn't coming back. And even if she did, I didn't want to be the guy who waited around hoping to be rechosen. I had to bury her. Not physically, obviously, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I had to dig a grave and throw the idea of her into it. So I started writing everything down. Every lie. Every moment that didn't make sense until it all did. Like how she always turned her phone face down when we were together. Or how she never let me pick her up from work, always said she was meeting a friend. How she started dressing differently, acting differently, like she was practicing for a different audience. And all the little manipulations, the gaslighting, the guilt-tripping, the way she made me feel crazy for seeing what I saw. I realized I'd been mourning someone who never actually existed. She played the role of the perfect girlfriend so well, I forgot to notice the cracks. And Ethan? He wasn't even the real betrayal. She was. Because he didn't know me anything. She did. She promised me loyalty. She told me I was safe. And then she burned that promise to the ground. I eventually started going to therapy. My best friend, Marcus, The one who once told me I seemed lighter with her dragged me to a session after I showed up to his apartment drunk, crying at 2 a.m. "I just don't know who I am anymore," I told the therapist. And it was true, because when someone pretends to love you, they don't just break your heart, they shatter your identity. You start wondering what parts of you were real and what parts you only built for them. But I rebuilt. Slowly, painfully, brick by brick. I went back to school, got a job, started journaling again, played guitar, read more Camus, this time actually understanding him. I started laughing again, real, belly-deep laughs that didn't taste like blood. And I stopped stalking her socials. Stopped checking to see if they were still together. Stopped wondering if she missed me. Because maybe she did. Maybe she still does. But that's not my burden anymore. I loved her. Deeply, stupidly, with everything I had. And she pretended. That's on her. Not me. Not anymore. She didn't break me. She just taught me who not to become. So if you're reading this, if someone ever made you feel like you were too much or not enough, let me tell you something no one told me. It's not your fault they couldn't love you well. Their betrayal is not a reflection of your worth. And anyone who asks for your heart while holding someone else's hand, they never deserved you in the first place. I loved a lie once, but now I tell the truth, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. And the truth is, I survived. It's strange how silence can scream louder than any heartbreak. Weeks had passed since that night in her apartment. The night she didn't expect me to show up early. The night I watched her melt into someone else's hands. The night I watched her lie to my face while I held back tears like they were strangers. After that, the world didn't just go quiet, it felt hollow. As if my chest had been scooped out and replaced with static. But what really haunted me wasn't the betrayal. It was the performance. The way she cried as if she were the one abandoned. The way she called me toxic because I confronted her with the truth. The way her voice trembled not out of guilt, but out of inconvenience. Because I had seen what I wasn't supposed to. Because I had ruined the illusion she was building for someone else. She pretended to love me, but I realized she never loved anyone. Not really. I didn't go out much those first few weeks. My friends noticed. I think I scared them. I wasn't angry. I wasn't throwing things or posting emotional breakdowns online. I was just gone. Like someone walking through their own funeral. The worst part? People still talked about her like she was a dream. She's glowing lately, someone said at work. She's finally with someone who makes her happy. That someone being James, of course. Yeah, she and I had mutual friends. I couldn't escape it. I watched from the digital sidelines as she began to publicly share the version of love she'd denied me. Instagram posts of his hand in hers. Captions about healing, true connection, finally being seen. She pretended I was a mistake. She rewrote our history so convincingly that people believed her. Hell, for a moment, I almost did too. But one night, and I'll never forget it, I stood in front of the mirror and said it out loud. She never loved you. It shattered something inside me. Not because it was cruel, but because it was finally honest. And I hadn't heard honesty in months. I started reading back our messages, rewatching the little clips I'd saved of us laughing. You know what stood out? I was always trying. She was always receiving. My affection, my plans, my apologies. She never fought for me. She never bled the way I did. She just smiled when it was easy and withdrew when it wasn't. There's something else I have to admit. I texted her. Once. Just once. Weeks after everything, in the dead of night, with tears and vodka clawing through my throat, I typed out one sentence. Did any of it mean anything to you? She left me on read. No answer. Not even a lie. And weirdly, that silence healed me more than any apology ever could. Because in that moment, I saw her for what she really was. Not a broken girl who made a mistake, but a person who never intended to care the way I did. I started journaling. Sounds lame, maybe, but it helped. I wrote everything she ever said to me that felt rehearsed. All the lines that felt too perfect in the moment. All the times I excused her coldness because I thought she was just guarded. All the times I thought loving her harder would make her stay. And then I wrote all the things I had done. The dates I planned. The weekends I canceled with friends to be with her. The way I used to wake up and check on her mood before I even checked my own. It hit me like a freight train. I was in love with someone who was using me as emotional scaffolding until she found someone else to climb. I didn't delete our photos right away. I kept them, not because I missed her, but because I needed to remind myself that the smile I saw in those pictures wasn't for me. It was for the world. It was her way of keeping the illusion alive to everyone except me. Eventually, I did delete them, not out of anger, out of indifference. A few days ago, I bumped into someone she used to know, a friend of a friend, small world kind of thing. She mentioned in passing that she and James had broken up. Something about emotional unavailability and playing the victim. I didn't smile. I didn't feel vindicated. I just nodded and said, "Hope she finds what she's looking for." Because here's the thing. She never wanted love. She wanted admiration, control, someone who'd orbit around her while she played the center of a world she kept hollow. And I gave her that. Willingly, blindly, lovingly. But I'm done now. Healing didn't come in waves. It came in fragments. In strange, almost imperceptible moments that I didn't recognize until they were already gone. The first time I laughed without thinking about her. The first time I saw a couple holding hands and didn't feel like the world was mocking me. The first time I heard one of her favorite songs and didn't flinch. The first time I said, I used to love someone who didn't love me back, and it didn't feel like a knife twisting in my gut. That's how it starts. Not with closure, not with revenge, not with moving on in the way people talk about like it's a straight road, but with reclaiming tiny pieces of yourself, ones you didn't even know you gave away. People started saying I looked different. "You seem lighter," a friend told me over coffee. I don't know what changed, but it looks good on you. I didn't know how to explain it, because the truth was, nothing had changed. Except me. I had stopped carrying a dead relationship like a badge of honor. I had stopped confusing pain with passion. I had stopped romanticizing the person who watched me unravel and called it growth. I started seeing my own worth not in how much I could endure, but in how much I deserved not to. I'll never forget her, of course. She's woven into too many memories. Firsts, laughs, the way she used to grab my hand in public, like claiming me. But I don't miss her anymore. And that's not bitterness, that's clarity. Because when I think of her now, I don't see love. I see performance. A perfectly timed kiss. A pout when things didn't go her way. A hug that only lasted until the camera clicked. Everything I mistook as affection was choreography, and I was just part of the audience, begging for an encore. A few weeks ago, I got a message from her. After months of silence. After the read receipt and nothing more. Out of nowhere. It just said, "Hey, do you ever think about us?" And in that moment, I realized something. She wasn't reaching out because she missed me. She was reaching out because something had ended, and she needed to feel adored again. Needed to know someone still hurt for her. That someone still lingered where she had already left. But I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I was finally free. Here's what I know now. Love isn't supposed to feel like a test you're always failing. It isn't supposed to make you feel small so someone else can feel big. It isn't supposed to be conditional, based on how much you sacrifice, how quiet you stay, how willing you are to bleed for someone who won't even hand you a bandage. She pretended to love me, but I really loved her. And that's not something I'm ashamed of anymore, because it means I'm still capable of something real, even if she never was. I won't lie to you, I still have bad nights. Nights where I scroll too far back in my own photos, where her voice plays in my head like an old voicemail. Nights where I wonder if maybe, just maybe, things could have been different if I'd done this or said that. But the difference now? I don't stay there. I don't drown in those thoughts the way I used to. I don't let the what-ifs turn into shackles. I visit the pain like a grave, briefly, with respect, then I walk away. Because I know now, she didn't break me. She revealed me. She tore off everything I built around myself for her. The people-pleasing, the quiet tolerance, the hope that if I loved hard enough, it would be enough. And when she left, when her performance ended and the audience cleared, all that was left was me. Bruised, yes, but not broken. Never broken. I started doing things I used to put off. I took a solo trip to the coast. No agenda. No curated selfies. Just me and a backpack. I stood on a cliff at sunrise and felt, for the first time in so long, small in a good way. Like the world wasn't something I needed to win over anymore. Like I didn't have to convince anyone, especially not her, that I was worth loving. I already was. I always had been. One day, I'll fall in love again. Not like before. Not the kind where I mold myself into something smaller to fit into someone else's picture. But the kind where I can be fully, unapologetically me, and that will be enough. Because the truth is, she didn't ruin love for me. She just reminded me of what love isn't. It's not deceit dressed in affection. It's not power disguised as passion. It's not attention traded for control. Love isn't a stage. It isn't a performance. It's not what she gave me. It's what I'm still capable of even after her. So if you're reading this, and you've been where I was clinging to the edge of someone else's fake affection, praying it was real, let this be proof. You get out. You do heal. You find peace, not all at once, but in pieces you reclaim. And one day, someone will look at you the way you looked at them, with honesty, not illusion. And it won't be pretend. It will be real. The end.